Hi, this is Bill Pullman, and I'm performing Oleanna on Broadway, and we're here at Broadway.com. Earl and John have a lot of ambition. Earl probably is more challenged of how to achieve his ambitions and relies a lot on his partners, and John probably is more self-sufficient. So John, I think, would probably have a few more things to say. Diana, the goat, I assume that you saw it. When we started, it had never been done before, and the idea of playing the guy who is in love with a goat meant that there was a lot of ridicule, and there was a great deal of inclination in certain sections of the audience to let you know how they were not going to go along with this. And that was a fight to persevere through all that ridicule. And I think sometimes it was the most challenging thing I've ever done, and I also learned the most from it. Well, Harley, yes, I do look at goats differently. I have to be careful that I'm not showing a special attention to goats if I'm around people who have seen the play. But I think there's always, I get a little smile when I was just driving on the freeway, and there was a bumper sticker that said, "I heart," and there was a picture of a goat. And I thought, ooh, I should get that. East Coast in the fall. Junk food. Twilight. Saturday night used to be, Sunday morning is now. Oh, that's mean, Albie or Mamet. I think it's Albie Mamet is the one that I choose. Well, yes, Joe, there is a confusion with Bill Paxton and Bill Pullman because of the plosives. The plosive BP. But also, I know Bill, and we did a movie together. Now, this is something that you'll have to, since you asked that question, this is mandatory viewing, you'll have to see a movie called Brain Dead, which we did for Roger Corman when we were young pups in the 80s. And I've been friends with him since. And I sometimes say, well, people don't know the difference between us, and there's people who don't know the difference between Chardonnay and Cabernet, and that's their problem. I absolutely would, yes. No, I think, I remember Spaceballs was my second movie, and when I met Mel Brooks, I realized this guy is, a jokester, but he's got a level of genius about him. So I remember one thing he told me I'll never forget, that I've often thought, geez, he's kind of right, and I didn't think so at the time, but he said, 10% of anything is good. And I thought, wow, that's a thin number, but when you're talking about really good, that's not easy to be really good. So I would work with him again in a second. Well, Bob, I'm going to tell you, there was one unfortunate performance that was a preview, and it was during the day while we were rehearsing, I was making a joke, which in the theater sometimes can be bad omen, but I said, gosh, this sexual harassment play, wouldn't this be bad in this fast change that I have to do that I came on with my fly down? And that night, I did the fast change, and I came out and I realized I hadn't zipped my fly. And of course, I thought, oh man, this does not bode well for my character. And I spent a little time trying to find, you know how the little zipper flap can get turned down and you cannot dig deep enough to get that baby out of there, and I could not get it up, so I spent a lot of time kind of folding my arms and spent that act just in an uncomfortable position. And of course everybody said later, we never knew your fly was down, but it sent me up the wall. Judith, what's the secret to the long marriage? Well, remembering the anniversary and remembering that there's a great value to surprise phone calls and texts. I've got to say that I have never bought the music to a musical after I saw it until Jersey Boys, and I really did love, I still love the music from that. Well, Eric, let me remind you, I have done one, Newsies, which you can rent if you haven't seen it. I have 2 songs in that, and I was lucky to get away with my life, to tell you the truth. Alan Mendel did the music, and God love him. He I think, white-knuckled me through the whole experience because he did not appreciate that I hadn't had the training that so many have, and it's so easy for some, and it's so hard for me. But I had great experience doing it, and I like the movie, and I like the fact that there's a great following for it. And I know there's a lot of people that are waiting for it to become a Broadway play, and I do not know why they haven't, because Disney, makes use of everything else, and they're great songs. But maybe that's to come. Well, Richard, thank you for the compliment. I've often been annoyed by my hair, and I've heard people who try to cut it have problems with colics and everything. But I spent a lot of time never realizing that I needed to pay more attention to it than I do. And now that I've discovered product, I tend to goop it up as much as I can to keep it off places that it shouldn't go. Well, Tom, yes, as if they're not interested in acting, I think, is their central focus. At least they haven't told me. But right now I have 2. The oldest, Mesa, is a senior at Hampshire College, and the middle son is a junior at Warren Wilson College in North Carolina, and they both, this semester, happen to be taking acting class. Yes, Edward Albee does have a wicked sense of humor, at least. I always remember one of the great quotes whenever I think about how frustrating it can be when theater is hard to do right, or you're doing it right and no one recognizes that it's right. And he said, life is hard, theater is harder. Well, Charlie, I always think of them as children, and I like them all. They all have different elements that were satisfying. A couple in particular, I think, in terms of kind of drama more, is the Zero Effect is one that I really treasure a lot because it was done by Jake Kasdan, who I met when he was 14 while we were doing Accidental Tourist on Larry Kasdan's set. And he said it when we were doing Wyatt Earp with Larry Kasdan. He said, I'm going to write a script for you. And 2 years later, he had written the script. And I think it was a great movie, and I was lucky to be part of it. Wow, yeah. Since 2012 came out, and Roland's been talking about it in press junkets, I guess it's totally flared up again about Independence Day. And yeah, I love that experience a lot, and would definitely, if they see fit, Roland and everything else gets going good, to do it again, because I think it was the kind of matinee movie that I like to go see when I was a kid. And I don't generally like to make them too often, but I really liked Roland a lot and have kept in touch with him and things. So he's a very thoughtful guy, very considerate guy, and a very mischievous imagination. So, and I don't think he really knows yet how it's going to play out, but he's playfully musing about it, I guess. I just remembered that I was so tempted. I did a commencement speech at a college, and while I was standing up there, the people were shouting. There were like 20,000 people in the stadium, and they were shouting, "Do the speech! Do the speech!" And I said, "Today is your commencement day," and gave them just that taste, and they went, "Wow." That's enough, isn't it? Well, this is Bill Pullman, and I hope you can come to see Oleanna. We're going to close on January 3rd, so you got about 6 weeks. Get out there, see that play.